The car we bought was used, has about 150,000 miles. You definitely need some good old maintenance love before throwing the same amount of energy and money that the car was actually initially bought at into modifications, okay? But there's a few out there that kind of hit the best of both worlds when you go to jump into a car and you go to actually modify it that not a lot of people know about. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today we're gonna be talking about some of the most underrated car modifications you can do to your car and why they're so underrated. Roll the intro. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. It helps us keep making these videos. And if you're looking for aftermarket, these are new pants for my mom. Wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. Of course, we got an awesome aftermarket gallery if you're looking to see what fits your car. Before looking into what hipster car mod you want to be different with, it's important to know if your car has some of these parts already. So remember, when we're talking about underrated car mods, we're talking about things that most people generally don't think about as their first modifications that they would do to their car. But let's start off with the basics. Does your car have the following? Number one, limited slip differential, okay? The thing that helps distribute torque to the wheel with the most traction while limiting the slip on the opposite. Generally, when we talk about limited slip differentials, we're talking about a rear-wheel drive setup car. However, you can have a limited slip diff on a front-wheel drive car or anything that you could possibly want. Or is it open like a 6-week bag of Doritos? This is important, okay? Because most of the cars that you get for your first car are gonna have an open diff, not an LSD. What about the standard rubber brake lines that feel like your 87-year-old aunt's skin after 42 years of smoking? Do you have normal brake lines, or did you have steel brake lines from factory? These are two solid places to start that are drastically underrated because they inherently aren't actually, they're not visual, all right? Limited slip differentials are common swaps around those that use their car for, performance modifications. And why do my eyes hurt? It's taking all those dubs in Warzone. That's probably why it hurts so much. Pa-pow, pa-pow. Mostly used for performance than for looks. Slidey boys just weld their open diff, but a limited slip differential can help get all the power of your car to the tarmac without actually needing thousands upon thousands of dollars. And honestly, the car at the gate, like when you're going into jumping into modifications, mostly for performance, it should be a lot less about adding horsepower to your car and more about getting the horsepower it does have to the actual wheels, to the actual ground. Because a lot of times your loss of power, not that hard to fix, especially on an OEM stock car. A lot of times it's just because of age and because of restrictions and because they wanted to make the car last longer. Once you yank that reliable crap out of there and you make it unreliable like it's supposed to, it's a lot faster. The steel brake lines help, especially with lines that haven't been replaced. You can do pads too, but a lot of the time those lines suffer from heat soak, harsh winters, and years of neglect by Steve that didn't know that he owned an S4. He just wanted the fancy seats. Next thing you know, your brake lines are going out and it feels like a mushy meatloaf pedal. Ugh. Replacement of those lines can help with the rigidity when the brakes are in use and have you a more consistent friction and grab point when you are driving the car a little bit more heavily, because there's nothing worse than having sloppy brakes. Now, let's say that you've gotten like the maintenance, all of those items taken care of, okay? Everything from the cat's ass to your brake lines to your brake pads to everything in between. No worries, you're ready, you're good to go, okay? You've got the good old wheels, the tires, the suspension, the intake, the headlights, the exhaust, the tune, the works. You got everything that you possibly need for your car. Now, one of the most underrated things that you can actually do when you get those parts, especially with wheels, not rims. Listen to me, with the wheels and everything else, is ceramic coating. Now, hear me out. Everybody knows about ceramic coating on their cars, on their paint, things like that. A lot of times people overpay way too much money for ceramic coat, but there's some really good things that you can do with ceramic coat. Now, on a typical 5-spoke wheel, for example, cleaning them isn't the worst thing in the world. Splish splash, you're taking a bath, and you can wash them up pretty good like a K&P in about probably 5 minutes. But when you start looking at like a multi-spoke, floating spoke, directional wheel, Hope you enjoy bashing your fingers against metal for 50 minutes because it's a pain in the butt to keep clean. Now, ceramic coating your wheels is the cat's ass because it makes it so much easier to clean. Ceramic coating almost acts as a secondary clear coat on your car's surface so that when you do go, you give it this wish-wash, taking a bath thing, it's not actually that hard to get the crap off the wheel or the surface. Now, the compound of ceramic coat makes it extremely resistant to water, dirt, and molecules that generally love to grab onto things. And if you love floating spoke wheels, directional wheels like Artisa, or multi-spoke style wheels, ceramic coat is the bee's knees. Now, that's not really like a modification. However, it is something that is underrated because a lot of times people spend way too much time cleaning their car versus actually enjoying it. And also remember that you can ceramic coat just about everything. You can do it on your big brake kits, you can do it on your headlights, your windshield, and pretty much anything else you can possibly imagine. So, if you're wondering if you can ceramic coat something, the answer is probably yes. And while there's a bunch of fancy professionals that do it, you can actually pick it up relatively easily. You just have to do a little bit of research. I do want a 3000 GT VR4. They're so underrated. They're so fun. They're so maintenance heavy. Moving into the interior, there's a few common modifications that people jump into right away with their cars. A lot of times, seats is a common one. Harnesses, absolutely hate them. But roll bars, new deck, etc., and maybe some floor mats. Now, the reason I like harnesses in the right application. I just don't like them when they're on a street car. And maybe some floor mats. Trunk goes to the good old polyboard setup when you're on air suspension because that's the easiest way to actually mount on your air suspension setup in the trunk. But one thing that's a lot of people have a tendency to forget is about their headliner. Okay, headliner, their trunk is the floating wood thing, but for some reason, lots of headliners are two-toned. They just are. G35s have this especially, but the interior could be all black, and some cars would come with like a lighter tan interior or lighter tan headliner. And this was a really common thing on a lot of like budget entry-level sports cars because it kept costs down. Now, a common modification for the headlights, carpet, and even trunk is replace that either with a matching interior color or double-stitched Alcantara or leather. Now, the trouble is a lot of times when people go to adjust their interior setup or they go with like the double diamond stitching is that they can't find the fabric for their car that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And a lot of times they try to go and fork out money on an OEM replacement from maybe an upgraded sports line like an RS or an R8 or something like that to steal those parts to put them in their car. Now, I'm gonna give you a secret that's gonna help you prepare for not having to pay an arm and a leg when it comes to interior carpentry. Because I had 94 construction and I know exactly how this works. Come on, come here, come closer, closer. Boat carpet. Boat carpentry and double stitching for boat seats is practically the same thing. And you can get it in rolls, and it's a fraction of the cost as a normal place you get double stitched leather from. And it is the best place to get car interior if you need to get something custom made. Get it if you were buying it for a boat. And if for some reason everything becomes available again. Bonus points because it's also water resistant, it's poofy, and it looks hella decent, all right? Take off your wood paneling for the air setup and replace it with some good old Mastercraft stitching and you pretty much be set to go. And a lot of times with the headliners, it's the same thing. I don't know why or how we found that one day, but once we did, it was like mind-blowing. All right, a lot of times boats also have really cool stitching and carpentry that you can use in your car that is great for high use areas. And finally, after you've done it all, the last thing that you want to work on that most people forget about is handling any sort of car body roll you may kind of have with your car as you start to modify it, all right? So you're driving it around, it feels like a blast, but a lot of individuals will just throw cash into suspension, which is good, but then they still don't feel like it just captures the whole cake. All right, so you're gonna wanna take a look and see what sort of steering rack you have installed and if a shorter ratio steering rack exists. A lot of times they do, and you can pick up even a used one from a higher performance model that you can replace into your car. It's gonna give you a much tighter feel when you're turning the steering wheel. There are different steering racks that you can install that will make the car turn tighter, sometimes faster, sometimes even slower, but you're not gonna wanna go that way, you wanna go faster, okay? Not only that, but pair it with like some strut bars, new adjustable control arms, and maybe a few bushings, and your car will feel brand new. And I think that's like the most exciting thing is when you can kind of get the car to breathe a new, fresh life when you're driving it. One of the most underrated car modifications are often the ones you see the least amount of, which is pretty expected. But let me tell you, if you've got a car where the wheel wells have like proper brake lines, control arms, bushing, sway bars, new pads, coilovers, it's painted, it looks good.
Boy, did you make my knees weak.
Because that is the stuff that usually is gonna make you experience and love the car the most. A lot of times, it's just not really thought about. But what do you think is the most underrated car modification? Let us know below. And of course, if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and we will see you later. Peace.